Today we're going to be performing operations on functions. So basically what we'll be doing is evaluating the function and then using the outputs to perform the given operation. So first, let's look at adding and subtracting functions. I'm not sure why on this template this is so small, but you might want to write it bigger. There. Sometimes the formatting goes a little crazy. Okay, so we have two functions here. We have f of x equals 4x and g of x equals x minus 2. So it wants us to find f of negative 8 plus g of 8. So we need to put this input into both of these functions, 4x and then x minus 2, and then add those outputs together. So let's see, I'm going to use orange for f of x and green for g of x, just so we can keep our outputs organized here. So first, let's evaluate f of x. So, f of negative 8 equals 4 times negative 8. 4 times negative 8 is negative 32. So f of negative 8 is negative 32. Now let's evaluate g of negative 8. So g of negative 8 equals negative 8 minus 2. Negative 8 minus 2 is negative 10. And now it wants me to add them together. So if f of negative 8 is negative 32 and g of negative 8 is negative 10, then my answer is negative 42. Now, I wrote this kind of big, but I do want to make sure we practice writing in function notation. So in function notation, we would write that f of negative 8 plus g of negative 8 equals negative 42. Okay, now let's do a subtraction one. We have f of x equals x squared plus 3, and g of x equals 2x minus 3. Find f of 5 and f of 5 minus g of 5. So we're putting in 5 where the x is in those functions. So let's evaluate f of x first. F of 5 equals 5 squared plus 3. So this would be 25 plus 3, which is 28. And then g of 5 is 2 times 5 minus 3. So that's 10 minus 3, which is 7. So now it wants us to subtract f of 5 minus g of 5. So that would be 28 minus 7, which equals 21. In function notation, we would write that f of 5 minus minus g of 5 equals 21. Okay, what about multiplying and dividing? So number 3 wants us to multiply f of negative 4 and g of negative 4. So I'm putting negative 4 here in f of x and here in g of x. So f of negative 4 equals negative 4 squared minus 3, which is 16 minus 3, which is 13. G of negative 4 equals 2 times negative 4, which is negative 8. Now we are multiplying this, so 13 times negative 8 equals negative 104. So again, in function notation, and I didn't leave myself room here, this would be f of negative 4 times g of negative 4 equals negative 104. Okay, number 4, f of x equals x squared minus x minus 6, and g of x equals x plus 2. Find f of 7 divided by g of 7. F of 7 equals 7 squared minus 7 minus 6. So now I have 7 squared is 49, minus 7 minus 6. 49 minus 7 is 42 minus 6, which is 36. And now let's do G. G of 7 is, and remember, you can just go ahead and put this in your calculator. You don't have to do it by hand. You're going to put this whole thing in your calculator, you definitely can. And you would get 36. Okay, G of 7 equals 7 plus 2, which is 9. So let's divide. 36 divided by 9 is 4. So f of 7 divided by g of 7 equals 4. So the last thing I'll show you is composition of functions. So we are finding the, putting in the input into one of the functions, and then your output becomes the input of the other function. So this says find f of g of 1. So the first thing we have to do is put 1 into my g function. So let's try that now. G of 1 equals 2 times 1 minus 4. So that's 2 minus 4, which is negative 2. So now my negative 2 becomes the input for function f. So let's put negative 2 into function f. F of negative 2 equals 4 times negative 2 plus 2, which was negative 8 plus 2, which is negative 6. So in function notation, how would I write this? I would say that f of g of 1 equals negative 6. Okay, last example. Find f of g of 7. So we start with the one that's most on the inside. So this is my input for g of x. So g of 7 equals 7 squared minus 5 times 7. You can put that whole thing in your calculator or follow order of operations. 49 minus 35, which is 14. Now 14 becomes my input into the f function. So f of 14 equals 3 times 14 minus 1. So put that whole thing into your calculator, and that equals 41. So f of g of 7 equals 41.